Hi there. My name is Paul Lotz. I'm a mental health therapist, and I'm the behavioral health training manager here at Brexton Healthcare. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about stress. Today is National Stress Awareness Day. So it's a day to honor and understand a little bit more about the negative impact that stress can have on our lives. And so to that point, I wanted to talk a little bit today about what is stress anyways. Um, what are some sources of stress? What are the consequences of stress? And different ways to mitigate and mute stress. So, one is that stress is a normal response that we have. It's part of our survival responses, survival mechanism to deal with stresses in our environment. So, in that sense, stress is a positive thing, right? If we didn't feel stressed, maybe we wouldn't get up in the morning to do the things that are important for us to do. And even in preparing this video, I felt a level of stress. And I think for me, that's because I wanted to do a good job, right? So honoring that there are positives to stress. And there can be challenges, right, when we're feeling stressed. And there's also the overcoming of those challenges and the feelings of success that can come from approaching something that's stressful. There's a principle in psychology called the Yerkes-Dodson law, which pretty much says that there's an optimal level of arousal that we have in terms of our level of stress and performance. And so, like an athlete or anybody else who's doing a task, if we're too stressed, probably not going to perform very well. If we're not stressed enough, probably also not going to perform very well. So there's that optimal level um, for us to work towards. So that being said, we know that stress can also be a problem when it's felt too frequently and too deeply. It has a lot of negative consequences and side effects, generally being illness, whether that's mental, physical illness, and can cause a lot of challenges for folks, which is, right, the spirit of why we have a National Stress Awareness Day. So the biggest sources, I think, of stress for folks uh, include illness. So it's kind of like something that uh, is stressful that can also compound stress, right? Because we're talking about how stress can contribute to illness as well. Disease, grief and loss, uh, certain responsibilities, caregiving duties that we may have, um, all of those are sources of stress. And of course, there's other ones, major life events that we all go through. So, like, the silver lining here is that stress can be changed. So we can reduce stress, we can make different choices once we become aware of uh, behaviors or thoughts that we're having that increase stress. So one is like, can you solve the problem, right? If you can eliminate the source of stress, that's a great place to start. There's also social support is really helpful in managing stress. Basic things that your primary care would probably tell you. So diet, exercise, getting adequate sleep, being able to find ways to relax, meditation, spending time in nature, and being able to challenge and change your thoughts. These are all different pathways of being able to manage stress. So, one thing that I'm going to invite you all into for today is working with mindfulness and mindfulness meditation as a pathway to relieving stress. And we know that there's been a fair amount of research on this, that it is beneficial for folks. And it's been studied largely for depression, anxiety, and also for folks with chronic pain. So what I encourage you to do is go ahead and get into a comfortable position. So if you're seated, sitting upright with a sense of dignity and ease, allowing your feet to rest on the floor. And we're going to go ahead and do a meditation that's focused on hearing and then also awareness of our breath. And if for whatever reason this feels like too much for you, just kind of come back into the room. You can tap your hands on the table just to recenter in the moment. So, and you can keep your eyes open or closed. It's completely up to you. And just start to become aware of the sounds around you. Maybe listening for the quietest sound. And not judging anything, just allowing whatever's here to be here as it is. A lot of times our mind wants to tell us a story about what we're hearing. Just listening. And if you find your mind coming in, like you're hearing, tweeting sounds like of birds, right? Our mind wants to tell us bird, tweeting bird, when in reality it could be someone doing a bird call or be a video of somebody, um, bird video, something like that. So, and being able to recognize the thoughts too. Okay, thinking, just the word bird video. And then maybe as you're maybe hearing the sound of my voice, but also be hearing your breath and shifting your focus now to the awareness of your breath. You're hearing the sound at the nostrils. Maybe it kind of sounds like an ocean wave. Maybe feeling yourself breathing in. You feel the belly swell. Breathing out. Belly empties. And if your mind gets caught off somewhere else in the future or in the past, just notice that and return your attention back to the awareness of the breath. It's all part of mindfulness. And we'll go ahead and close this with the ringing of bells.